Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday. Just wanted to say hello and good job on the first paper. The people who did really well had very interesting applications of the ideas from their own lives, and they followed the structure. So, or they used the structure to help their ideas come to light. So that was good. The other thing is, there's a lot of talk about ChatGPT. So if you're using that here and there, just kind of make a note. I'm not against it entirely. I mean, I guess there's points where it's a little bit, you have to be careful of plagiarism, that sort of thing. But there's not a problem. But if you are using it, just let me know so that when I cross-reference, I'll already know that that's what you're using. Because even if you do use it, you do have to check the facts because sometimes it doesn't get them right. That's just usually for study questions, I think, or maybe a summary. Anyway, so that's out of the way. Now we're moving on. I thought I would give you kind of a breather, and then you're going to move on to the next essay, which is a narrative. So in the meantime, you're reading and you're listening to these TED Talks that if you're paying attention, you'll notice that these authors and speakers and scientists, they all have an idea or some big ideas, but they illustrate them always through their own personal experience. So, you could write your own TED Talk if you wanted to, where you had your big idea and you showed how your life experiences pointed towards that. Or you could, narrate a section of life that you think, has some kind of insight, or it was a particularly meaningful section of life that showed you something that we can find out as readers and go along that journey with you. So anyway, so the only thing is you're going to need to refer to one of the texts that we've looked at or that are on the reading list or even in the reading module, because there's a lot of them. And you all have some very interesting responses to those for this week's assignment. Good job. So anyway, so you're going to be working on your narrative, and that just needs to be sequential. It needs to be organized. It has to be structured in such a way that someone who doesn't know you at all could follow right along. If we opened up a magazine, there it was, we would get the whole thing. So we don't know how old you are, what your circumstances, any of that. So make sure that you explain things well and you proofread all of the things that go in with any kind of writing. So anyway, so it's not strictly academic, except this one reference at some point to one of the readings. And I'm just going to let you, have a little bit more leeway to design it as you'd like. A really good idea for this kind of essay, this is what we're moving towards, the second essay, narrative, is to read it out loud to someone and see if it makes sense as a tale you tell. Okay, so that's all. I just wanted to say hello. This week is, study questions to get you thinking along the lines of what's my narrative? What is, if it was shrinking in groups, it can be sort of a metamorphosis between, different stages in your life where the influence of the group was paramount and later perhaps not so much. And I think it was Sue Luamanu who brought up a psychological term called the internal locus of control, which was a very interesting application in terms of the pull we feel in a group to be with the group, but then actually making decisions from a different place other than that kind of understandable evolutionarily is understandable, desire to be part of the group and cooperate and, move the ball down the field of humanity. We all have that, sensation. We don't want to be left out or, we want to kind of be in, but then, that's not always the wisest scenario. Of course, we know sometimes it's great, sometimes it's a disaster. And so we need the internal locus of control. So that was interesting. Somebody brought that up. That was Sue, I think it was. So I'm just chatting about the readings and just letting you know that this next essay is different than the one that you just did. We will return to that format when we do your research paper, will be a longer version of the first paper. So on this one, you're going to tell a story of some kind. So be thinking about what the story might be. It should entertain us. It should interest. It should, and also it has to be something that you are willing to have other people read. So don't make it so personal that it can't be for public consumption, because I will be posting some of these on the class notes, and you will be able to read each other's papers because that's kind of helpful. All right. So let me know if you have any questions, but remember, that's where we're headed next, is a narrative, kind of give you a little break from the strict academic writing, which the people who did the best, again, were the people who had access to who were accessing frequently the how-to documents on how to write it. Some of you, okay, in the conclusion document, I'm just saying, it says like one of the first instructions is, do not begin with the words "in conclusion." So when I saw that you were doing that, I was like, okay, that student is not looking at the documents that are there they're there for you. They're there to help you. Anyway, so just remember, I'm not making those links. I'm not taking them lightly. I'm really giving you a lot of instructions in there, and that's how it is online. You gotta get into those instructions. And anyway, so we're off to the narrative, and in the meantime, reading and thinking and writing and posting, and give some thoughtful responses. The other thing is ChatGPT. If for whatever reason you're using it in any of your papers, or if you've seen a tutor or a lot, make sure you make a note of it on the instructor comment area when you turn something in, just so that I know, so that when because sometimes if it doesn't sound like you at all, I'll cross-reference it. If it doesn't sound like, your previous work, I sometimes, run it through different programs just to figure out what's going on. And just let me know. It's not that, I think we're gonna integrate this, but all of us are figuring out how. So just make sure to tell me. In the narrative, I don't think it will come up as much, but in the other papers later it will. Okay, just wanted to say hi. Thank God the rain has stopped for a minute. This is a false background, so don't believe it for a second. Okay, so tonight, the rest of it's do the study questions and read carefully what is meant in shrinking in groups. Give it some thought before you answer, and answer in full sentences. Okay, have a nice day.